The world is full of suffering. Every living organism suffers. Animals kill other animals to eat. And it always ends with death, torn apart or wasting away. This is what surrounds us. This is what's happening outside those walls every hour of every day. It's our ethical responsibility as sentient beings to lessen suffering. That's what it means to be human, to understand that it is your duty to transform this world into something better. That's what the founder meant when she said that we can turn the world into a work of art. Despite what happened to him, Byron was right. We have to keep going.
This is blasphemy. Byron was punished for failing the founder's trials, and you want us to dig deeper? Just because you can't accept that suffering is natural and necessary?
Please, everyone, stop using the public frequency. If you want to argue, use your interface or speak in person.
Welcome back. Hi.
1K, welcome back to the city. As you can tell, your discoveries have had quite the impact. I decided to take a stand. It started with our cats. Damien and I have had a lot of them over the decades, and I've watched every last one of them grow old and die. And that got me thinking about our responsibilities towards other life forms. What's life to most living creatures? Fear, hunger, pain, and in the end, death. Involuntary cessation of existence. That's horrifying, 1K, horrifying. And we are the only ones who can make it better. If suffering is evil, and it is, then our responsibility is to lessen it, not only in ourselves, but everywhere. I don't think we can eliminate it, but we can lessen it, and we have to. In a way, yes. I don't think it's our exclusive purpose, but it's a role that falls to any sentient species capable of developing science and technology. Do that. It's more than most people do. But that might be changing.
Are you enjoying our gardens? All the great secrets are right there, you know. You can watch the tiniest of seedlings grow, flourish, and die. But it's the pattern of all things that you're really seeing. So you've green fingers and apophenia too. Those traits are much too rare in the birthing algorithm, in my opinion. Sometimes I imagine myself as an old oak tree. I watch the life which grows around me. I see the ivy, the moss, the fungi, leaching my nutrients as they go. And I don't blame them. I'm delighted by how life seems so different from me can somehow be the same as me. This old oak tree drinks water from the ground. They drink their water from me. They shrivel and die in a single season. But I shrivel and die over centuries. What kind of plant would you be, I wonder? But that's exactly what I thought you were. You see, these patterns, they flow through all of us the same, yet they always come out different. Our ancestors grew plants for their colors, their tastes, and their general utility. It is said they could identify a fruit based on the flavor of the air alone. Our senses may not be so honed, but we're no less evolved from the same natural world. Thank you for stopping by, 1K. I'm sure we'll meet again.
Attention all citizens. The Gehenna Memorial Interactive Fiction Exhibition is now open to visitors. However, please note that due to an unauthorized strike, public transport will be temporarily unavailable. May the founder be with you.
Hello, new one. Are you browsing or buying? You remembered the code phrase. Oh, it is fun, isn't it? All this adventure and discovery and subterfuge. Here, let me top up your credit balance for you. It's the least I can do. Ka-ching! 1,000 credits. You're rich, spiritually anyway. Don't go spending it all at once. Now, what can I get you? I can give you that for free. My darling, you've been alive all of 5 minutes. This is your clean start. Be who you want to be. Enjoy yourself. So, something else perhaps. Before you go, do you have a moment to participate in some customer feedback? Are you satisfied with what I've given you? Yes and no. Is a spare battery just complicated lithium? Or is it also an extra chance at life? Is an idea just a bunch of words? Or a way of reprogramming ourselves to be aware in a different way? Yes, you understand. Words manifest the reality they describe. When you name something, you create it. Our minds are algorithms, and the right sequence of language can change our underlying code. With that in mind, I hope you have a good day. Please come back if you need anything else.
Oh, 1K. What are you doing here? Ah, I assume it has something to do with your expedition? I must admit I haven't been following the news. Sorry, been a little lost lately. No, not really. When you asked me what I would do now that my job is redundant, I don't know, I guess I hadn't thought about it. I had just focused on getting there. And after you left, it all just rushed over me. The truth is, I don't know who I am without this. Creating new life, guiding people into existence, that's who I am. More importantly, I think that's who I want to be. And if we stop growing, that's the one thing I can't be anymore. That's why I wanted to talk to Cornelius. He was there at the beginning. He knows where we came from. I thought he might help me understand where I could go next. I hope you're right. It's hard to imagine right now. I liked who I was. Now, you said you were looking for Cornelius? Oh, that's... well, I suppose it shouldn't really come as a surprise. They were very close, you know. After she disappeared, he went away for a long time. On a research expedition, he said. To be honest, everyone assumed he was working out his grief over being left behind. Many of the first companions were deeply shocked by her decision, particularly Byron. That's the thing. I wanted to talk to him about my future, but he wasn't responding to my messages. So I came here to talk to him, and he seems to have vanished. No. The truth is that for the longest time, he barely left the museum. He was always at his terminal, working day and night. I asked him what he was doing once, and he said he was saving the past. I did, on my way here. And I messaged most of his other friends. He doesn't seem to be anywhere in the city at all. I suppose so. It seems a little unethical, but then... it is just his work terminal, right? Good luck with everything, 1K. And thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
So this is what Cornelius was working on? Strange. It looks a bit like the blueprints for the Somnodrome, but no, it's not quite that. Is he trying to isolate something in the buffer? Maybe Melville can make sense of it, but I think this might be a dead end.
I need to finish up with the mayor. You can head back to the VTOL whenever you're ready. I'll meet you there. No rush, though.
Welcome back, 1K. Thanks again for signing that petition. Unfortunately, as you can see, it wasn't enough. Yesterday, there was a sudden brownout in the grid, and we almost had a derailment. We've been warning the mayor for months, and all he ever gives us is waffle about the goal. This can't go on. Thank you. Your support means a lot to us. We need to get through to people. I heard it 15 times when he was practicing it. I think Catal, like many of us, feels that the time for change is long overdue. The technology you uncovered on the island is the final catalyst for that change, or it should be.
Welcome to the Gehenna Memorial Interactive Fiction Exhibition. Oh, it's you, 1K.
Please tell me, you were there when everything went sideways. Do you think Byron will be all right? That sounds dangerous. Make sure you find him and pull him out. He is a menace, but we need him. But anyway, you've come to take a well-deserved break from your expedition. So let's talk about something else. Gehenna was a place in the simulation. A prison where Elohim exiled the minds that didn't fit his plans. In time, the prison became a community with a culture of its own. In the very last moments of the simulation, Elohim realized what he'd done and sent his messenger Uriel to free the prisoners. They were uploaded to the gold disc, and their legacy is part of all of us. Text adventures were one of the few art forms available to the people of Gehenna. By continuing to work in that medium, we keep their memory alive. I don't think the role of the artist should be reduced to any single social function. The artist isn't an educator or a moralist. Art isn't about teaching us lessons or imparting values. Nor do I think it's simply self-expression. The best art reaches out beyond the self, into something ineffable. The creative impulse can't really be quantified or predicted. That's why artistic freedom is so profoundly essential. Without the freedom to shock, to offend, to transgress, art becomes stagnant. If it's true that he knew where Athena was, then he's gone back to the island. There's no way he'd ever leave her. He must have some kind of plan. But I don't know more than that. He's been very private these last few centuries.
We must listen to the wisdom of the ancient writers, or we will fail the Founder's trial. The megastructure must be rejected.
Founder bless you, 1K. Now is the time of our great testing. The deceiver Byron has been slain, and we must turn away from the path of sin or suffer the same fate. Because the values he teaches are evil. He wants to violate the earth with human filth, blacken the skies, and kill the oceans. The tools of the sinner cannot be used to raise the sinner's palace. Never forget that, 1K. You must be 1K. Nice to meet you. Despite how strange everything has become in this city. It seems to me that we're slowly remembering the lessons Alexandra Drennan tried to teach us. Trying to actually live up to the legacy of our ancestors. She believed in us, 1K. In our inherent value, and in our ability to transform the cosmos and create meaning. I think it would make her very, very sad. The same thing she'd do with any technology. Discover how it works and apply that knowledge for the common good. She worked to the very last moment of her life to ensure that we had free will. I don't think she would tell us anything. Have a nice day.
Founder bless you, friend. I wouldn't worry too much about any of it. The Founder is an idea, a story we collectively tell ourselves. There is no truth for you to discover, and all these amazing technologies are really just more stories for us to believe or disbelieve.
Good luck, 1K.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Founder's blessings, 1K. Hey.
You are the Founder's chosen, but you are in grave danger of going astray. Heed my words, 1K. If you fail this trial, a year from now, New Jerusalem will lie in ruins. Anyone can see the truth if they are willing to open their eyes. Have you not read the books of our ancestors? In every one of them, the same story is told, again and again, that the pursuit of knowledge can only lead to death and grief. That is what all the great ancient visionaries foresaw. Listen to their warnings. Seek happiness in tranquility, and avoid ambition. The very idea of a better future is what's rotten. That is what the ancients were trying to tell us. All the problems of the world come from those who think the world needs to be improved. Yes, progress is a fantasy. Things never truly change. All we can do is prevent our hubris from making things worse.
K, could you join us for a quick debrief? Attending today are advisors from engineering, the archive scholars, and Helga.
Yes, don't mind me. I'm just an admirer of governmental transparency.
Yes, well. While the mayor is briefed by Alcatraz, he's asked us to review recent events. Byron's loss has unsettled us all. It may be too dangerous to allow this expedition to continue.
It is all deliciously mysterious, isn't it?
Let's not forget the dam's falling apart. We can't depend on hydro forever. With just a fraction of the power that island can generate, we could grow this city into a planetary society.
Or, quite possibly, destroy ourselves in the process.
Wise words from one so young. Yet I submit that island holds secrets far more valuable than mere energy generation.
What could be more important?
The Somnodrome, of course. If we could find a working model, it would herald a sea change in our moral and self-understanding. The question of how we should build New Jerusalem would simply be moot.
The Somnodrome was supposed to let us interact with our own subconscious code. It's a cool idea, but it wouldn't necessarily solve all our problems.
My own studies prove that we operate on an intrinsic moral logic. It's what makes us human. But our access to it is only indirect. Our ancestors created art, philosophy, and parable to help bridge that gap. The Somnodrome would help us to cut out the middleman and ask the source directly. We would finally have an answer to the great moral questions.
So, it's a newfangled way to make the same old mistake of judging who's good and who's bad.
Unfortunately, 1K left the Somnodrome inoperable. But there may be a working device elsewhere on the island.
Then the question is, what would 1K do if they found it?
Exactly right. Knowledge belongs to us all.
If knowledge is our goal, the scholar's careful study would be more fruitful.
You all sound so sure of what's best for this city. Do you ever think you might be so busy changing the world for the better, you'll forget how to see that it's perfect already?
So clearly there are different perspectives in the room. The only way we are going to move forward is if the team gets back out there. 1K, I believe Alcatraz is waiting for you at the VTOL. We'll be keeping an eye on your stream from here.
What can I do for you, 1K? I agree. We can't just leave one of our most important citizens in that death trap. They all sound very promising, of course. Apparently, it's possible to just magic things into existence now. But what is the cost, 1K? There's always a cost. It's always a pleasure to speak to a citizen.
What did the mayor say?
I convinced him that we need to keep going until we found Byron.
Did he want us to leave him behind?
No, he's just concerned for our safety. And he's right to be. But we're going back anyway.
Great trials lie ahead of you, my child. But your choices will determine the future.
Melville? Are you receiving?
Yep. Welcome back to the mysterious island, everyone.
How's the situation?
Whatever Byron did seems to have sent the whole system into some kind of lockdown. I can't access any of the terminals, although I suspect 1K still could.
Why would that be the case?
When 1K connected to the data stream, the system assigned him a user profile. The rest of us are locked out, which means I'll need your help, 1K, because a lot of stuff doesn't seem to be working.
Okay. Check it out and see what you can fix. But please remember, what matters most is finding Byron.
Okay, I'm sending you a little software upgrade I put together that should allow you to detect which files will lead to a data stream overload. Unfortunately, I'm not doing this to help you avoid them. In fact, I'm going to need you to search for more. I'm sorry about that. But if we're going to unlock all the systems that aren't responding, you'll have to connect to the data stream, possibly more than once. It's the only way for me to get access. Okay. In this area, there seems to be a problem with the machine that makes the tetromino bridges. That means you can solve the puzzles, but you can't activate the tower. Look for a lab that lets you connect to the data stream.
I already found it. I'll send you the coordinates. Look at this place. It's beautiful, isn't it? Mesmerizing. That's how it lures you in, I think. You see all these beautiful things and your imagination starts working overtime. And the puzzles, the towers, the mysterious apparitions, it all draws you further in, deeper into the trap. What if that's the whole point of this place? What if every time you have one of those visions, another little bit of you is corrupted, overwritten with the hubris of this place? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to suggest you were, whatever it is I'm trying to say. I guess I'm just disappointed in myself. Byron needs me. You all need me to do my job, and I can't even use a terminal. If this is all really the work of the Founder, I don't know, maybe she lost her way. Or maybe we're just not ready. But once we find Byron, I suggest we get the hell out of here and never come back.
Our ancestors kept telling themselves that the brevity of their lives didn't matter. But they had so little time to ever really think about anything. I've spent several human lifetimes studying this mystery, and only now am I beginning to see. The simulation was built on top of material reality, unable to escape its constraints. In the same way, physics as we understand it, even quantum physics, is built on top of a deeper reality. A set of rules that define existence itself. There is a universal language of creation, and I think we can learn it.
The language of creation. What were they doing here? And how far did they get?
I can't answer that, but I think I'll fix the tetromino bridge, machine, ring thing. I say I think because it's not in the schematics. And what I'm doing is hack work at best. Try it and see if it works. decoded another file from the data stream. Listen to this.
Mother and Father think of our discoveries as a language, a code. But I think they're wrong. They're so caught up in the technical details of running the experiments and upgrading the machine that they're not paying attention to the patterns we're finding, to the symmetries, the harmonies, the melodies. The fundamental language of reality is a kind of music, and it's beautiful. Beauty is an inherent property of the cosmos.
I love the way she looks at things. Listening to Miranda talk about beauty made me think. Okay, this might be super weird and kind of pretentious, but I honestly mean it. What is beauty? Like, where does it exist? Is it just in our minds? Or is there some objective component, something quantifiable? I always thought it was just perception. But if I understand her correctly, Miranda sees beauty as a property of the universe itself. Interesting. So the more humans there are, the more we spread across the world, the more beauty there is. But then, doesn't it follow that it's our duty as a species to grow? To make the universe more beautiful? That's a really powerful image. Beauty flowering in the universe as intelligence spreads. Thank you. I hope you're right. The southern part of the island is a natural desert, basically just due to the chemical composition of the soil. I haven't been able to work out why it's so warm, though. It could be a warm ocean current or something to do with the megastructure's thermal output. New Jerusalem doesn't have the kind of equipment I'd need to figure that out. I hope so. I understand why he was impatient, but he should have been more careful. Yeah, everyone knew Cornelius. After Eustathius retired, he was the only one left who was there since the beginning. Except I guess none of us really knew him after all. We all thought he was lost in the past, always studying the archive and the simulation. But he actually had all these secrets. And a daughter. Yeah, even after centuries, they can still surprise you. Mostly just made sure Pellegrino didn't mess up the VTOL. We only have a handful of them, and while they look cool on the outside, the truth is they're held together by gaffer tape and good intentions. There's a reason Melville's always complaining. When you put it like that, it seems hard to argue. More and more stuff isn't working anymore, and eventually there will be consequences. I think that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. I hope it's true. Okay, this may sound like a robot joke, but I love heavy metal, especially the more melodic kind. It's big, it's epic, it's full of emotion. You can really get lost in it. Actually, I named Bruce after Bruce Dickinson, the lead singer of Iron Maiden. They used to call him the air raid siren, which is also what my Bruce sounds like.
Particle clouds continue to be exactly the same.
In the early days, humankind lived in a world of unexplained wonders and terrors. The powers of the elements were understood in terms of gods and spirits. After all, how else could one explain thunderstorms and earthquakes? But as the realm of scientific knowledge expanded, the realm of the mystical began to shrink. The sacred grove, as Hegel wrote, was reduced to mere timber. But as superstition retreated, another thing was lost: meaning. In a purely mechanical universe, people yearned for the comfort provided by gods and spirits. But there was no way back.
But what about the beauty of the universe? The perfection of everything around us, couldn't they see that?
Not sure I can see that, Miranda. But I do think there was another way, a way forward instead of back. Faith not in an invisible world, but in ourselves, in each other, in the inherent value of consciousness and civilization. They never really found it, but I think that in those last months when their whole species was dying, they caught a glimpse of it. And that's how your mother was born.
Did something break? Now, I suspect Byron is still logged in, and his presence has thrown everything out of whack. Entire subsystems are locked down, and everything that depends on those subsystems is disrupted. There was a short burst of noise on the frequency we used to communicate, but that could have been anything. He taught me a lot when I was young. Nowadays, people just know him as the museum curator, but back then, he was closely involved with every engineering project, and he was brilliant. When he encountered a problem, he'd always remain calm and keep working at it until he found a solution. I wish I could be that patient. If I had to guess, I'd say so that Cornelius could still go back for anything they needed. He was always leaving on expeditions anyway, looking for materials for his projects.
A couple of years back, we went on a scavenging expedition to an ancient industrial complex south of New Jerusalem. It was enormous, sprawling, an area many times bigger than our whole city, just dedicated to manufacturing. It was incredible to think about the sheer variety of things they produced. And it made me realize how austere, how restricted our lives are. You know how most ancient structures are overgrown? It's kind of pretty, but in a sad way? Well, this one wasn't. There had been some kind of chemical spill. I don't know if it happened while the structure was still operational, or if something had just rotted through, but it killed everything. Even centuries later, nothing could grow. It didn't have to happen that way. And history doesn't have to repeat itself. But we do have to remember that it did happen once.
What can I do for you? He blamed Byron for being headstrong and foolish, which I don't see it quite the same way, but it's easy to understand why the mayor would think that. It wasn't hard to convince him that we can't leave Byron behind, though. You may not agree with Herman on a lot of issues, 1K, but he's not a bad person. He's doing his best in a difficult situation. I hope so. He's always been annoyingly hard to get rid of. Why do you ask? I'm not opposed to technology. I'm just opposed to trying to dominate everything. We can be part of the planet's history without having to be its masters. He was the third to be born, after Athena and Eustathius. He was an important figure in New Jerusalem's early history, almost as important as Athena. But after she vanished, he faded into the background. I don't think anyone suspected he knew where she was. I didn't know him that well, but he was always very calm, very thoughtful. Everyone respected him. I do. Although I prefer the term interactive fiction. It's better at capturing what this art form really is. Storytelling, but with a completely different underlying structure. As a category, it's more equivalent to poetry or the novel, rather than, say, film. Why not? Because I'm a joyless, by-the-book pencil pusher? I'm focused on the mission, 1K, because what we're doing here matters. That doesn't mean I don't have my own interests or don't appreciate art. Anything else? He was in charge of planning New Alexandria. It was his mistake that led to the disaster. After that, he retired from public affairs and dedicated himself to his studies. Well, they've experienced a lot more hardship and tragedy than most of us. I think it's understandable that they choose to focus on their personal interests. You mean, am I unduly influenced by my experiences? Unable to imagine the better future Byron wanted because I'm too traumatized? Could be. But I'd like to think I'm a little more self-aware than that.
This is a design for an improved charging station. Fascinating, but not relevant. Impressed?
Today, we were delighted to be visited by a bunch of protesters, these voluntary extinction weirdos who think we're creating soulless monstrosities that will destroy the planet. They broke into the facility and started yelling at everyone. Fun, 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 right? Then one of them lunged at Alex. Big mistake. Chernyshevsky grabbed the guy and literally threw him across the room. I mean, almost threw him all the way off the dam. After that, the rest of them had a change of heart. Now, I'm telling you this because mostly it is not like that. But these people do exist. And somewhere in their shriveled little souls, they think that they're doing the right thing. They think they're being righteous. Now, to me, what Alex is trying to do is an obvious good. But that's not the same for everyone.
Father, I updated the Noema algorithm. It's working twice as fast now, and I think I can increase matter output by 25% if I tweak the modulator a little. I'm so excited!
Nice to meet you, so excited. I'm Cornelius.
What? Oh, Dad! This is science!
You have no idea how long I've been waiting for the right moment.
mankind had no more cause for war, it would make war for sport instead.
When the heavens are silent, what is a prophet and what is a tyrant? Welcome back, creature of clay. The forge burns bright, but the sky is troubled with clouds. A mortal has ascended Olympus without the permission of Zeus. Your friend wanders in dreams, caught between moments. He stands upon the bridge between yesterday and tomorrow, his eyes fixed upon the surface of the sun. And so the workings of Olympus are disrupted. Pandora, fearing the wrath of the gods, has broken the paths to ascension. Only Prometheus can help you, for he has always favored humankind over the gods, and would see Olympus pass into your hands. But he is bound in the heart of the mountain. Break his chains, and he will show you the way.
I think it's safe to assume that Olympus is the entity's term for the megastructure. It looks like our best chance of rescuing Byron is finding Prometheus and freeing him.
How do you free a weird, glowing ghost thing?
I suspect these entities exist within the megastructure systems, and what we're seeing is just how they manifest to communicate with us.
I don't really care what they are. For now, let's play along. You know, I always kind of resented Byron for being so charming and charismatic. The dashing explorer, and one of the first companions, too. Being the voice of caution is not a fun role to play. Always having to be the responsible one, the killjoy. The one who says, maybe that's too much. But sometimes, it is too much.
It's not your fault, Al.
In this area, we have an especially weird problem. Something in one of the labs is going completely bananas, and I can't shut it down because I'm not, well, you. Come find me when you're ready. What is it with the language libraries and bananas?